For today's deck testing video, I needed to address something that I just got wrong. And what I mean by that is that I have yet to do an Aldmeri Dominion video since Alliance War came out. I'm kind of shocked, but I went back and I looked. I thought I'd covered all the color combinations. I had not. I have not done a video on this particular one. So I wanted to share the mid-range list I've been playing. If you follow CVH on Twitter, it's going to look really similar. Very familiar. Him and I had very similar lists with a couple of changes, and when he posted his, for example, he had Staff of Ice, where I think I originally had Mentor's Ring, and then I think he also had Brotherhood Slayer, where I originally had Manic Jack. Now, I've taken his list and my old list and kind of combined them. I like Brotherhood Slayer as of right now a little bit more than Manic Jack because there's not a lot of ways to really benefit Manic Jack. We're not running Royal Sage, for example, or other things. However, I did cut the Staff of Ice, and I've since cut Mentor's Ring, and I'm just rocking full complement of Seyda-Neen Couriers because it's Seyda-Neen. Now, this list is interesting because it can be aggressive. It can fight for the board very, very well, and if it falls behind in terms of, onboard presence, it can help try to gain ground or at least catch up in winning the race, if you will, through some very strong tempo plays. Cards like Giant Snake are really, really good in this list. There's an awful lot of creatures with Drain, and then when you combine them with things like Swift Strike, or if you just have Monk Strike to combine with Swift Strike, you can recoup a lot of health. And then going even a step further, with Seyda-Neen Courier, you can get a lot of value. So it's a list that I've been enjoying. It's been very good to me so far, and I thought I would share it with you. As always, there will be a deck code in the video description. Apologies to the folks on mobile, but I do pre-record these and then post them on a schedule. And when you do that, it means I can put the code in the video description, but I can't, for whatever reason, even though it's private, I can't like pre-post comments, because one of the things I thought was like, all right, maybe I'll just pin a comment as the deck code. YouTube won't let me do that, and so unfortunately it is what it is. It's kind of hard to get these things out, so I'm sorry, mobile viewers and players, sorry. But I also show the list off at the beginning. You can always take screenshots, try to build it from that regard as well. And this is not a great opening hand. Not only is there no 1-drops, not that we run a lot, but our 2-drop was reactionary. We had the top end of our curve. This is better, still not great though. And the reason it's not great is because these are prophecy creatures, and we would prefer them to be in the deck as opposed to in our hand. Now, one of the things I like about this list, as I mentioned before, it's a great list at like recouping tempo. So if you do fall behind at least an aggressive or more like mid-rangey based mirrors, you have a lot of tools for catching up.
Blood will spill. Just give me a name.
Prophecy really helps with that. There's a fair number of prophecy creatures in this list. It's just a really good, what I would call, pivot list. Like, it kind of fights for the board, and then it pivots, and then suddenly it's just ahead on tempo because it's got some very big plays, again, with Swift Strikes, with Giant Snakes, things like that. However, I got a feeling we're up against a like ramp-based Ebonheart control, and so the Giant Snake play is likely not going to matter here. Instead, we are racing. With the right hand, we can do that very well. Again, Swift Strikes represent a lot of burst. We do still have good old-fashioned Lightning Bolts. Dawnbreaker is oftentimes really strong in this particular matchup because our opponents usually run something that used to be alive and then died and then got up and started walking around again, and Dawnbreaker is good at dealing with that. So
Face me, you dog.
we're just gonna
It's nothing personal.
keep doing this. We don't have, if I had 2-drops I would develop them, but we don't, so we're just gonna play big things on curve and continue trying to fight through this here. Camel. So they must have a scary hand. If they didn't play anything until turn 4, and the first card they played was a camel, they haven't even used a ring charge, and they let go a protector and a crossbow, they have a scary hand. Like, they just have to, right? Hush? Straight told me to hush. said
Your blood will spill. It's nothing personal.
All right. We're gonna do this. They're gonna be at 5. With this, it'll be 6. So they could, if they have debilitate, attack us and then play it with the ring. But if I play Bruma and Dominion, the only thing it would actually kill would be this and the Bruma, but it would weaken everything else. But if they don't have the debilitate, we kind of just jump way out ahead, so I think that the risk is worth the reward. I mean, we have some good backup plays afterward. One of the other reasons I like this play is because if they do have the debilitate here, we want to then counter by playing Black Dragon, I think, so we have something with 5 attack on the board. It's also really good in this matchup because of the immune to lethal, so it's most likely to stick, which would then enable a big splashy Mighty Conjuring, hopefully. That would be the idea anyway, so we shall see. I have actually been playing Mighty Conjurings without a 5 power creature on the board on purpose lately. And it looks like my opponent's waiting to reconnect. So either this entire time they've been having connection problems, in which case I feel really bad. Maybe they did have early plays and missed them. Or they just didn't like seeing this board and decided, hey, I'm going to go do my taxes. I missed the deadline. But I was starting to say, just to finish a point, I've been playing this more and more purposefully without something that has 5 attack on the board, because in certain matchups, there are times where you don't want the guard. And this is kind of one of them. In matchups where you're afraid of, like, Viper, for example, playing a Lava Atronach means that if they can just ping and then crash into you with the Viper, you're going to lose your big creature. But if you play the Conjuring and you get the chance, you've got a 2/3 chance of just hiding in the Shadow Lane, and if you get the 7/5 warded creature, that ends up being phenomenal against these kinds of decks, because then they have to essentially ping it twice, and they can't just charge into it with the Viper.
I'll profit from your death.
Alright, well, we're just going to go ahead and
Your blood will spill.
go ahead and get the attacks in. We won't wait for them to reconnect. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, opponent. Maybe next time your connection will be better. But that is one game down. So we're going to go ahead and jump into another one. Doesn't really feel like much of a game. And so for that, I'm sorry. But it is what it is. Let's hope to still get a win, but, you know, maybe showcase a little bit more of the deck's versatility, because I do think it is a really versatile deck. And of course I say that, and now we run into Scout. So, the question is this a more controlling traditional ramp Scout? Or is this the dreaded Abomination Scout? And our hand actually got worse. It's pretty rare that your hand just actively gets worse after a mulligan, but not only did it actively get worse, but it is horrific. We have one playable card right now. Oh, it might just straight be Slay Scout. Well, we're gonna take the risk.
Bless us, kind. May we serve you with every
I assume
word.
they've got some sort of trick where they can get the Slay here. But
I will have my vengeance.
they did not.
For the
So
warrior white.
we're gonna go ahead and do that. Yeah, let's do this too. We want to continue to contest. Our hand is pretty bad, so right now if we can just not lose a handle on the board, we might be able to recover pretty well. Yeah. Of course I say that, and we continue to just draw cards that are not at all useful to us. I mean, not at all useful. This is bad. So we're gonna do this because that's just honestly the best play that we have. But you know, this happens anytime you play decks that have lightning bolts that are also like mid-rangey. Every now and then you have those bad hands where you get 2 of them very early on. It's just inevitable. Doesn't mean it feels good when it happens, but it's inevitable. Well, Bolt here makes an awful lot of sense, but we would also really like to develop and saturate. Problem is in doing so, we run the risk of... I think what we do is we actually do this and this.
Bless us, Kai. May we serve you with every word.
So if they want to take this trade, they would have to lose their hunting spirit and then essentially just take the buff on this. But then kind of all of their goodies are packed on one creature. So, and actually because they played this first, they miss out. Now they need some sort of item, some sort of help.
Hail to Siddis.
Alright,
For
well,
the warrior
we're
wife.
gonna go ahead and do this, and we're gonna take this bolt here. A wee bit torn. Like, I need to slow this thing down. It would be ideal to do so with like a javelin or something, but we do need to slow it down.
Of
So
course,
I think
I'm
we'll
on
go
your side.
this route. Again, we're really just trying to keep the board under control. If we can stall out until we can get Iron up and running, like that'll be enough to get back in the game, if you will. But I got a feeling that we're about to eat something dangerous here, likely a Bone Colossus, if I had to guess. Use their last ring charge to jump up to 7 there. Nope, it's a moose. Might even be worse. Like the moose just might actively have been worse for us. Eight, 10. Yeah, we need to gain some health here, it looks like. So...
Didn't see this coming, eh?
Sadly, it looks like
The warrior deserves another.
I'm going to misplay is what it looks like. Well, gee.
For the warrior wife.
It looks like I'm gonna misplay on my sequencing. Sorry, my head got too far ahead. I was too busy thinking about what I wanted to discard with this gambler that I was going to play, and then I ended up clicking the wrong creature. So I will likely lose this, and the reality is I just deserve to lose this as a result. But I think we get rid of the Conjuring here, and then pray for Prophecies, because I mean, we were probably going to lose after the Moose anyway. We've been behind on board since the beginning. Our hand has been absolutely horrendous. It has been clunky to say the least, but
Face me and die.
at this point I deserve to lose, that's for sure.
Mother, and Wizard, I see their strategy. This day will be mine.
Alright. Our best uses here. So Iron's just going to be too late because I took too much damage that turn. So our best uses now are... we can Monk Strike and then play another Gambler, or we could Monk Strike and then Tome. Gambler is worth 2 health, Tome is worth 2 health, but Gambler gets another body on the board, so that seems like potentially the best option here. So let's go ahead and do this. We're gonna have to eat this, I think, no matter what. But first, let's do this, and I mean, do I want to get rid of a Cliff Racer, or a Cliff Racer. I know, it's shocking. I actually think we're going to dump this trader. So we gain the health that we can. And we take this trade. Because we need to do it. And we do this. And then we just hope, against all hope, that they don't have a Cliff Racer. Let's be honest, they have it. Again, I misplayed here. So I deserve to lose this. It happens. My sequencing was off. But our hand was clunky to begin with as well. Like, we had this Cleric and then a Dream. That was our opening hand. Cleric of Kine and a Dream.
Hail to sin. Make your peace, dog. Motherless dog. By Arcay's beard, this day will be mine. To the scales.
So, even more bodies that we simply cannot clear out. Again, if we could have got this up and running as far as the drain goes, we would have been fine, but we did not. And our sad Bruma Profiteer is only going to gain us at most 2 more health here and take us to 6. They will still have 7 damage on the board because of hiding these in the shadow and because of our inability to take this out. And we drew no guards. 5 Defender might have been nice. Now we also have Encano here, but then that means we're not using a Cliff Racer on this poor soul. Trying to think about what could potentially be an out. I guess theoretically if we drew a giant snake off the tome, could shut down this lane, but we'd only still be at 5 from the snake because we don't have drain on the board. It does not appear that we have any outs at the moment. We'll draw just to see what we would have drawn. Sadly, the answer is nothing.
I have no patience for fools.
Sadly, the answer is nothing, so going to lose this one. A little bit frustrated, mostly because it's my misplay. On top of the really bad hand. Don't let that bad hand fool you. It's not usually going to do that. Getting a bad mulligan and then drawing 2 lightning bolts on top of it, you're not going to be able to effectively fight for the board. And then they played things like Bleak Coast, right? Like if they would have played 3 or 4 drops that we could have just killed with our lightning bolts, maybe we had a shot, but sadly in this instance it was not the case. So anyway, if you made it this far, I'm sorry you had to put up with the play mistake. I feel bad, but thanks for watching, and until next time, may you walk on warm sands.